Hey guys, so I'm back and I decided to do a review for you for my new YSL Yves Laurent Fusion Ink Foundation, which is new to their line. It's a liquidy foundation and I wanted to give you my thoughts and my overall feelings of this, as well as give you a demo so you can see if this is a foundation you would like to try out for yourself. So first off, the price. This foundation costs $60 for 0.84 fluid ounces of product and is available at Sephora and other retailers that carry the YSL makeup line. Now, the price by itself is expensive. You're like, what? $60 for a foundation. They already outpriced themselves on their previous foundations. This is already higher priced than any of their previous foundations. It also outprices brands such as Chanel and Dior in foundations. It is really expensive, but the kicker is that you only get 0.84 fluid ounces of product. Now you're like, what's the big deal with that? Normal foundations are 1 fluid ounce of product, so you get 1 fluid ounce typically from all foundations on the market, liquid foundations that is. And that is the typical size that you can expect or anticipate. Some foundations carry a little bit less, some carry a little bit more, but that's the overall average size. This is 0.84 fluid ounces. 0.84, which is significant, is almost 20% less, which means you are really paying $71 for 1 ounce. So if you compared it across the board, it would really be $71 per ounce, which what? No, that is already way out the ballpark. It is already way expensive, even for a YSL foundation. So already it gets an extra price, and not only that, it gets an extra quantity. So there you go, the price, the quantity, just no, it's absurd. So now let's talk about the packaging. The bottle itself is a square design and it is see-through, but then it has black overlays with the product name and the size and different information on it, but then it has little windows that are see-through that you can see the level of product you have in your in it. So I think that is good. It also shows you the shade, so I think that is good to have those little see-throughs, those see-through cutouts in it. And then the cap is a gold cap, which is, you know, the usual with YSL, their gold packaging, which signifies luxury and, you know, all that good stuff. So it's very pretty packaging, but then it doesn't come with a pump. It's actually a screw top. So you take off the gold cap and you're left with this screw off top that you take off, and there's a spatula attached. It's a thin plastic spatula with a little hole in the tip, and you're supposed to use that to apply the foundation either directly to your face or on the back of your hand or on a palette before applying it to your face. Any way you prefer to do it, that's up to you. If you apply it directly to your face from the spatula, then of course you have to be concerned about contaminating the product in the bottle and then, you know, different hygienic nuances. But if it's your own personal bottle, it doesn't really matter as long as your face and your hands are clean. Go ahead and apply it directly from the spatula. But again, it doesn't come with a pump, which a lot of people find handy. I personally prefer a pump, but the spatula, I guess it works out. It's not a dropper as with my Giorgio Armani Maestro, so it's a step up, but it's not my favorite type of packaging. So YSL says this is a revolutionary fine as ink foundation with broad spectrum SPF 18 that perfects the skin while it wears weightlessly for 24 hours. And it also says, get all-day comfort, broad spectrum sun protection, and a soft matte finish with this featherweight foundation that suits every skin type. Every skin type. Its innovative hybrid stain technology provides a lightweight yet high coverage formula, and its exclusive extendable polymers offer buildable coverage that lasts for a flawless finish. Special sweat and sebum controlling agents, sebum controlling, allow for 24-hour of coverage even through heat or humidity, and its sensorial and volatile dry oil complex allows it to set in seconds. Formulated with pure micro-coated pigment, it delivers lasting radiant color, and the face zoning applicator allows you to apply perfectly to the face for precise, easy to use application that's never heavy or cakey. So I'm just gonna jump into the demonstration of this product and then I'll tell you how I feel about it. Alright, so let's go ahead and apply the foundation. Again, it's the YSL Fusion Ink Foundation and the shade is B65 Toffee. And I'm going to give it a good shake because it is a liquidy foundation, so you want to make sure that you give it a little shake. I mean, not as much because it doesn't separate too much, but you still want to give it a shake because it is so liquidy. Take off the cap, and what you're going to have is this little spatula kind of deal. And since it's my foundation and I only apply it to clean skin, I'm just going to apply it directly from the bottle and from the spatula. You might not want to do this if you have trouble skin, sensitive skin, or if you're sharing this foundation. So it's for hygienic purposes. You might not want to apply it directly to your face, but I'm doing it because I've never had an issue with applying anything directly to my face. So I've just striped it across my face in strategic areas. Nothing too complex. It's a very liquidy foundation, but it won't run off your face like your Giorgio Maestro foundation. So I'm just going to buff this in. This is my Zoeva number 104 buffer brush. And I'm just going to buff this into my skin, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see a little better. Alright, so I'm just buffing that in circular motions over my skin. And I have a serious case of a blemish two blemishes right by my nose. It's awful. So I'm just gonna go over all of those areas. And I have freckles too, so I might not have too many imperfections to cover. So you're like, oh, what good is this foundation review? You can't really cover anything. You can tell the coverage by how much it covers my freckles. So that's how I would determine coverage on my skin, even though I don't have problem skin. I do have a little problem there. Very upsetting. So I'm just buffing that over my skin. Again, making sure to get along my hairline. And the foundation has a similar feel to the Giorgio Armani Maestro foundation in that it feels like there's some silicone in it, so it slips across the skin really easily, and it doesn't drag, and it's easy to blend in. There's no real, you don't really have to put too much effort into buffing it onto the skin and for it to just blend seamlessly across the skin. So that much I know from the formula. It has a smell. There is a scent to it. It's the typical YSL scent, so if you're sensitive to smells, that is something to be mindful of. I am personally not sensitive to smells, but I do smell it, and the smell wears down after a while, not right away. It does stay on your skin for a little bit. So again, if you're sensitive to smells, be mindful of that. Alright, so I've applied the foundation, and it's not full coverage. Already I can tell it's not full coverage. It looks very skin-like, and that I think is by virtue of the thinness of the formula, but I get decent coverage from that. So I'm going to apply a little bit more in problem areas, so right there, and then a little bit on my cheeks. Ooh, that burns. That burns a little bit. Sunscreen. Okay. So I put it over my blemish, and it's burning a little bit. I don't think it's open skin. Let me see. It may be a little bit of open skin. Yeah, it burns a little bit if you have broken skin, so be mindful of that. The coverage I don't think is too buildable. I'd say it's medium coverage, so I'm gonna need to apply concealer in the areas that I have a little bit more of an issue, because this doesn't really cover it. And I'll show you really close on my freckles the coverage you can expect. So if you see the freckles on my nose are not covered, I have some freckles on my cheeks as well, they're not covered. So this is not high coverage foundation at all. This is very natural coverage. So there you have it. That's the foundation with some concealer. What do you think? I think it's decent coverage. I'll probably try to do a split screen so you can see the difference before and after. Now I have very oily skin, so I cannot go without powder, and this review would be for oily skin girls. So I'm still gonna powder, but I'm not gonna powder all of the foundation. I'm just gonna powder in my T-zone, and this is my Marc Jacobs Perfection Powder Foundation in the shade Fawn Cocoa. So I'm just applying the powder in my T-zone area where I really get oily, but the rest of my skin I'll just leave with just the foundation. Now I'm gonna go off on my day and then come back and check in with you in a couple of hours. And just for reference, it's 8:34 in the morning, so I'll be back around 12:30ish. So right off the bat, after applying this foundation, I can say it's very lightweight. It doesn't feel like anything on the skin. It feels very skin-like. It doesn't feel heavy. I don't feel it on my skin. It blends very nicely too. It's very thin, so it just glides over your skin. It has a very similar texture to a silicone-based primer or a silicone-based foundation where it just glides over your skin, but it's not as heavy as a silicone product can be. So it glides over the skin smoothly, evens out your skin nicely, covers fine lines. It doesn't give as much coverage as they say. They say full coverage. I think this gives more of a medium to lightweight coverage. I don't think it's sheer necessarily, but I don't think it's heavy duty coverage. It's more on the medium coverage side. You do need to layer it and use concealer if you want full on coverage. Now the finish is very nice as well. I think it is more of a semi-matte finish than a full-on matte, so it's still going to give you a certain radiant skin-like effect. It's not going to be full chalkboard matte, which is a very good quality for it to have because it has a nice skin-like effect, and it definitely doesn't look cakey or heavy on your skin. So now I'm going to show you the results after wearing this for about 4 hours, 4.5 hours, and let you know what I think shortly thereafter. Alright, so I'm back and it is, let's see, 1:11. So it's been a little over 4.5 hours and this is the result. I am a greasy, shiny mess. As you can see, T-zone, even though it was powdered, is literally leaking oil. Can you see the oil on my skin? Yeah. Without question, I am not gonna continue this experiment for 8 hours because I need to blot. It's already a disaster. We already see that it has failed. So I didn't blot, I didn't powder, I didn't do anything, and the rest of my skin that's pretty normal did not have it's still showing oil and it's still showing some level of, you know, moisture on my skin. T-zone, definitely a disaster. But yeah, oily skin, this foundation, probably not gonna work. So yeah. So as you can see from that result, this sebum controlling 24-hour wear that it claims is completely absurd. It is not for all skin types. My oily skin did not survive this through just a few hours of wear. This claims 24-hour of wear. I got through 4.5 hours. This was oily, greasy. It was a mess. I wanted to cry keeping my face like that without touching it up just so I could show you guys the results. I wanted to rip my skin off. I was just like, oh my god, I look awful. Now it doesn't cake up, it doesn't feel heavy, it doesn't change or oxidize or anything. It just greases up. All my oils were out. They were just, even where I powdered, where I said I wasn't gonna powder my whole face, even where I powdered, my T-zone went berserk. I mean, I was a grease monkey. And I get oily normally, but that was a different level of oily, and I didn't do anything different to my skin. I didn't apply a primer, I didn't apply a moisturizer, I just applied this foundation without doing anything else to my skin, and that was the result. I looked like I was ready to fry chicken, and it was just not okay. It was just not okay. So I don't need to tell you guys that this foundation got returned. I was not pleased, and for $60 for 0.8 ounce, first of all, excuse me, you're expensive as hell, and then that's the result I get? Oh my god. Needless to say, it is no longer in my collection. I do not recommend it if you have oily skin at all. Even if you have combination oily skin, no, because some of my skin is not fully oily. Like my cheeks don't get completely oily, but I would just look a mess. So don't recommend it for oily skin at all, but I still don't even recommend it for normal skin or dry skin, just because I feel it is overpriced. It is not worth the hype. It says it's so great and it's da 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 da. I think my Maestro foundation is actually much better, and I think you can find better foundations for that price. $60, you can find a Chanel foundation, a Dior foundation, a Giorgio Armani foundation that would probably work better for your skin and give you that full 1 ounce of product than giving you less product for your buck. So honestly, I don't recommend this at all for anybody. And if somebody tells you that they're so thoroughly thrilled with this foundation, I don't know what they're thinking, because maybe they just don't care about the price, and maybe because it's YSL. But I think this is garbage and I do not recommend it. So guys, do not get this foundation. I'm doing this review for you. I showed you my greasy mess just to show you that no, this foundation is not worth it at all. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this video was helpful to someone. This foundation, no. Other YSL foundations, I'm not too sure about, because I don't think YSL makes foundation necessarily for oily skin. So if you're oily skin, stay away from YSL. But if you want to try out their other foundations, if you have dry skin, by all means do that. But this one, I say, is a definite skip. So until my next video, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.